Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. Vajra Unbeatable. Buddha rays shone brilliantly from Monk Bangkai, and his muscles swelled, becoming 12 yards tall. The 9 rings monk staff also became bigger like a huge sun behind the head of a huge Buddha. This was Vajra Unbeatable technique of Buddhism, a kind of technique whose forte was the divine arts of the corporeal body. There are many kinds of techniques in Buddhism. The forte of some of them is the frame of mind, so they cultivate spells and divine arts, while others are known for their wisdom and cultivating knife and sword skills. There are also those of the battle technique school, whose forte are divine arts of the corporeal body. Even though Vajra Unbeatable technique took the path of the battle techniques, it was different from others. Some spells were mixed into this technique. However, unlike Chancellor Ba Shan's fusion of battle techniques and spells, the spells of Vajra Unbeatable technique were hidden in the monk staff or prayer beads. Through the daily cultivation with their monk staff and prayer beads, the monks would chant the Buddhist scriptures non-stop, refining their evil thoughts into the prayer beads and the divine arts in the Buddhist scriptures into the monk staff. When it came to battle, they could release the evil thoughts in their prayer beads, transforming into a fiendish battle stance, while the spells in the monk staff were methods to catch an enemy off guard with a surprise attack. Qin Mu had experienced the strong points of Vajra Unbeatable technique before. This technique would turn one's body incomparably durable after executing the body of Vajrayaksa, to the extent that the person could take on the blow of Junior Protector Sword. Furthermore, the monk's strength would become so outrageous that he could push Qin Mu's treasure ship down. Qin Mu executed Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique, and his body trembled. A ray of golden light shot down from the sky and poured into him, transforming his corporeal body into a golden god. Tiger claws, fur, and head grew out from his body while he stepped on twin dragons and held a bronze battle axe formed from golden chi, which was like a huge hatchet. A golden snake hung on Qin Mu's left ear and hissed while taking in and sending out golden chi. What he had executed was Venus Sovereign Gold Marquis technique, a god transforming into the form of Venus Sovereign to control all the gold chi in existence. There were many secrets hidden in 5 Elements realm, and Qin Mu originally had an extremely high achievements in it. With the guidance of Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, cultivating the god transformation of the 5 great star sovereigns had allowed him to surpass the other strong practitioners of 5 Elements realm by leaps and bounds. Truly, the spell of devils. Monk Bangkai saw his body transforming and sneered. The 9 rings of his monk staff danced in the breeze and swelled up before smashing down suddenly like a huge hammer with 9 golden rings. As Qin Mu's bronze battle axe clashed with the 9-ringed monk staff, a terrifying power exploded from the both of them. Qin Mu moved back repeatedly from the vibrations, and the twin dragons under his feet flew out to climb onto Monk Bankai's body, tangling with his legs. At the same time, the golden rings of the 9-ringed monk staff flew out one after another and hit Qin Mu's head, causing sparks to fly out in all directions. Qin Mu ended up tumbling back a distance away. Monk Bangkai was of the 6 Directions realm, after all, and he was a divine arts practitioner with a lot of tricks up his sleeves. With a trample, both of the golden dragons were shattered into pieces. Once he grabbed his monk staff and leaped back up in the air, the 9 golden rings whooshed back onto his monk staff while he was in mid-air. Boom! Monk Bangkai smashed his monk staff downwards onto Qin Mu. His feet were on the ground, but he couldn't stop himself from sliding backwards, blowing a deep pit in the ground. The bronze battle axe in his hand was also smashed into pieces. Monk Bangkai rushed over at an extremely fast speed and was in front of him in a few steps. His monk staff swept forward, and another loud boom rang out as he smashed Qin Mu repeatedly until the other couldn't get a stable footing and flew backwards. The monk staff hummed while the 9 golden rings clanked as they smashed onto Qin Mu's chest, throwing him hundreds of yards away and destroyed a part of the forest. Mount Meru Mudra, Tut! Monk Bangkai rose into the sky and started to chant an incantation as he smacked Qin Mu down with a palm. The ground trembled, and the trees collapsed, revealing a handprint that was the size of 3 R's, deeply imprinted into the ground. In the meantime, an apparition of Mount Meru materialized above this handprint, with countless symbols of Buddhist texts swirling it. Amitabha, the demon of the devil path has finally been executed, due to a virtuous achievement of this little monk. Monk Bangkai landed on the ground holding the monk staff with one hand while the other was in front of his chest. Standing outside of the handprint, he paid his respects. Little monk isn't a person that's fond of killing, and exhibiting such a swift means today was merely to rid the evil from this world. There was no other choice. Little monk shall recite a paragraph from the scriptures of rebirth in the Pure Land, sending the damned soul of the cult master to paradise, to not do evil anymore. Just as he was about to chant the scripture, he felt his hair standing up on end and immediately leaped away. The ground split open, and gold chi spikes rose up from the ground, frantically stabbing into the air. The monk staff of Monk Bangkai smashed down, and the 9 rings swept in all directions, crumbling the gold chi spikes. He then saw the apparition of Mount Meru crumbling as gold chi gathered to form countless sword lights. They then gathered into one which was dozens of yards long and stabbed into the chest of Monk Bangkai with a ding. The monk felt pain when his chest was stabbed by that sword light. He suddenly shouted loudly, and Buddha voice came from the prayer beads on his neck. Buddhist runes poured out from the vibrations, and the scriptures were like hoops that covered that sword light, layer after layer. As the scriptures continued swirling, they finally stopped the sword. At this moment, light suddenly flashed in front of Monk Bangkai, and a huge wave rushed into the sky in front of him. Before it, Qin Mu transformed into a red-haired snake body of water Marquis Mercury Sovereign, who was holding a trident in his hand. The trident stabbed towards Monk Bangkai, and huge waves rushed up, transforming into a huge mudra which came pressing down on the opponent. Monk Bangkai shouted loudly, and his Buddha rays shone brilliantly. He raised his hand to block, but found that a boundless strength was overwhelming him, smacking him away ruthlessly. The trident reached his chest and transformed into a 3-headed dragon which surged forward while pressing onto his body. He heard a loud bang as it and the torrent slammed him against the ground, creating a huge pit around him. The wave dispersed, and Monk Bangkai immediately stood up. In his face was a bull-headed human-bodied monster who rushed at him while stepping on 2 fire dragons. The heart of this monster's brows opened up, revealing its bull eye, and a beam came rushing over at a speed of lightning. Monk Bangkai raised his hand to defend his neck and felt a searing pain on his palm. 2 of his fingers had been severed. Panic started to arise in his heart. He grasped the 9-ringed monk staff with a hand and used it like a hammer. The head of the staff swelled up, becoming larger and larger. The staff then was like a mountaintop smashing forward, while his other hand made a mudra which smashed forward. Qin Mu transformed into Ma's sovereign's form and gave an angry bellow. His strength was boundless, and a fire bottle gourd appeared behind his back. When he took this fire bottle gourd into his embrace, blazing true fire spewed out from inside it, and the flames scorched the 9-ringed monk staff red hot. Molten gold leaked out from it continuously. Monk Bangkai was astonished. 9-ringed monk staff was the spirit weapon he had painstakingly refined and one which had the blessing of Buddha. Yet it couldn't defend against the true fire from this bottle gourd, and if it was melted, he would lose a major weapon. However, now was not the time to think it through. He could only risk his spirit weapon getting destroyed and brace himself to smash Qin Mu to death. Bang! The fire bottle gourd exploded from the attacks, and the 2 fire dragons under Qin Mu's feet also shattered into pieces. Monk Bangkai immediately followed up with Mount Meru Mudra, and Qin Mu's body suddenly trembled. A ray of green light shot down from the sky, and he transformed into the form of Wood Marquis Jupiter Sovereign, which had a human head, bird's body, and bird feet. With 2 wings on his back and 2 green dragons under his feet, he flapped his wings and rose into the sky to avoid Mount Meru Mudra. Once he came into the sky above Monk Bangkai, the willow whip in his hand came smacking down against Monk Bangkai. The moment the monk raised his hand to defend against the whip, he felt that something was wrong. This whip was actually incomparably soft and coiled around his arm like a green snake. The willow whip then suddenly grew and coiled around his whole body. In the blink of an eye, the willow whip had become thick as a water barrel, turning into a willow tree which coiled around its target tightly. At the same time, the 2 green dragons under Qin Mu's feet were shrinking as they transformed into 2 trails of green chi which entered Monk Bankai's nostrils. Arriving in this world empty-handed, leaving this world empty-handed. 6 senses, Be sealed. Monk Bangkai sealed his senses so that the 2 trails of green chi couldn't enter his body and were then purified by his Buddha rays. The prayer beads on his neck exploded one after another, and evil thoughts poured out from them, returning to his body. The evil in Monk Bangkai erupted, and he gave a bellow. His corporeal body swelled up once again and shattered that willow tree in pieces as he gave an angry roar. When Grandpa Buddha gets angry, even the heavens have to give way. Demon, die? Just as he shouted that out, Qin Mu transformed again, turning into a human-headed snake-bodied form while the gate of heaven influence appeared behind him. With 2 pig-slaughtering knives in his hands, he rushed straight at his enemy. Explosive sounds rang out endlessly. The Buddha rays and sparks burst out continuously from the surroundings of Monk Bangkai, and there was not a single scratch on him that was caused by the pig-slaughtering knives. Grandpa Buddha had the body of Vajra, nothing can break through it. Monk Bangkai had a malicious expression as the monk staff in his hand smashed down frantically. Qin Mu's knives collided with it, and a huge bang rang out, which pushed the birds and beasts in the forest around them into fleeing. Suddenly, the knives in Qin Mu's hands cracked and exploded, unable to withstand the immense power of the two's fight. At the same time, the monk staff in Monk Bankai's hands also exploded. Die? Monk Bangkai screamed continuously, and his fists, which were as heavy as mountains, came raining down. Qin Mu roared in anger, and his muscles bulged as electricity surrounded his body. He executed Thunderclap 8 strikes, and the green dragon coiled around his body as he clashed directly with Monk Bangkai. The 2 small giants exchanged heavy blows in the forest when suddenly Junior Protector Sword flew out and stabbed into the huge sun behind Monk Bankai's head at a lightning speed. Monk Bangkai was astonished and immediately raised his hand to defend. At this moment, Qin Mu punched like sunshine, refining the yang soul in the sky. Monk Bankai's soul wavered for a moment, and he didn't manage to block that sword light, allowing Junior Protector Sword to pierce through the huge sun behind his head. His Vajra unbeatable technique was instantly broken, and his body started to shrink. Qin Mu sent another punch his way, and the bones in Monk Bankai's body trembled violently as he grunted and retreated. Qin Mu's punches rained down like howling wind and torrential rain, causing pain to Monk Bangkai. He became more and more frightened, then turned around to run. With a few ups and downs, he had already escaped to the sky. Qin Mu paused for a moment as he looked at the sky. The speed of the escapee was extremely fast. He ran 6-7 miles in just a few breaths' time. Only then did he stop so a lotus could bloom under his feet to lift up his body, as he thought to himself, "This devil is powerful since he has too many tricks up his sleeves, but his speed isn't that fast, so he can't catch up to me. I can still reorganize myself." Just as he thought this, a loud boom rang out, and he immediately turned back to have a look. At that moment, he couldn't help being stunned when he saw Qin Mu breaking through the air like he was flying. His speed was such that the monk could not even see him clearly. Boom! Qin Mu's fist bashed into Monk Bankai's face, and it caved in its entirety. The power of Tempest of the 9 Dragons poured into his head and exploded with a bang. In the sky, Bloodlight was accompanied by 45 green dragons that bore fangs and brandished claws. Among their snarls, a headless corpse fell from the sky. "Dumb monk, I could let you run 10 miles first." "Oh, so painful." Qin Mu descended and searing pain filled all his limbs, making him suck in cold air. The monk's Vajra unbeatable technique had made his body incomparably durable, to the point that even spirit weapons couldn't injure him. All kinds of divine arts were also useless against him, making this fight abnormally exhausting for Qin Mu. The power of Monk Bankai's attacks was also astonishing, so Qin Mu's flesh had burst open. This was especially so because of the 9-ringed monk staff which had almost shattered his head. Luckily, the monk's attacks were pretty straightforward, so he had still died under Qin Mu's hands. Divine arts practitioners of 6 directions realm are pretty strong, I can't underestimate them. Qin Mu touched the bump on his head and sucked in cold air. He executed Overlord Body 3 elixir technique to circulate his blood and chi so as to not let his blood clot up. 2 of his ribs were broken, and the flesh on his back was a bloody mess. These injuries were probably from when Monk Bangkai had smashed his Mount Meru mudra on him. Overlord Body 3 elixir technique had an extremely good effect on healing injuries, but it was still incomparable to spirit pills and miracle medicine. Luckily, the current injuries were not fatal. Let me return to the village first to heal up before finding Devil Ape. Qin Mu reattached the ribs that had broken off and threw the monk's corpse away. There was no rule to bury corpses in great ruin since the blood from the corpse would attract wild beasts which would devour it. At most, only the bones would be left. While if the luck wasn't in the dead person's favor, even the bones might not be left. Qin Mu returned to the village and plucked a few spirit herbs from the herb garden outside the village. He refined 2 furnaces of spirit pills, one of which was used to heal external injuries, while the other internal injuries. He then asked for some dragon's saliva from the dragon Qilin to harmonize the medicine. The dragon Qilin noticed his beaten-up state and gave a bewildered look, however, he didn't probe into it. The dragon Qilin squatted motionlessly at the village entrance in a guarding pose like he had done at Imperial College. But Qin Mu felt that he might be guarding only in name. Instead, he was actually lazing off, unable to be bothered to even move. Duqian Devil King remained motionless as well. The dragon Qilin was too lazy to move, while he was fixed in place by death. Qin Mu recuperated at ease. When night fell, Death still didn't return. The rest of the people in the village also remained away. The next day came, and village chief and the rest still didn't return, either. Qin Mu's lungs were still aching, so he couldn't breathe in heavily, but the injuries on his ribs and back had already healed. If a person wants his injured lungs to heal faster, it is best for that person to steam themselves, allowing the medicinal gas to enter the lungs. However, there is no one to help me maintain the fire. The youth executed Overlord Body 3 elixir technique and slowly walked. He breathed in and out slowly, to let the injured lungs heal slightly faster. Suddenly, he thought of a question: after New Year's, will I be 15 or 16 years old? His age was always a debate among the people in the village. Village chief and Granny had argued a few times over this but come to no clear solution. Granny Sai had picked Qin Mu in the swaddling clothes during spring, and he had been 2 to 3 months old at the time. She believed he was born before New Year's, while village chief believed that he was born after New Year's. If he was born before, he would be 16 years old. If it was after, he would still be 15 years old. During each and every New Year's, the two would fight over this matter, and he reckoned they were going to fight this time as well. As he was thinking about it, Qin Mu heard a buzzing and raised his head to have a look. He saw a few golden-colored insects flying over from the forest outside the village. He blinked, and the golden insects buzzed away, disappearing into the forest. More insects came out later on and circled around the village before disappearing back into the forest. That woman from Three Wonders Castle has arrived. Qin Mu's gaze flickered. The woman from Three Wonders Castle was much stronger than Monk Bangkai and could control swarms of insects. They were venomous and had been refined by her until they were like steel, able to bite cleanly through spirit weapons. The woman could control thousands of them. With such an amount, Qin Mu would definitely be unable to fight against all of them if they were to pour over at him all at once. He would be cleanly eaten in an instant. Rather than letting her slaughter her way into the village, why don't I settle it outside? Qin Mu looked around and came to Apothecary's herb shop. He carefully brought out a broken pot with a couple scorpions inside waving their pincers at each other. The barbs on their tails swept forward as they fought over the spirit pills Qin Mu had fed them earlier. He carried the broken pot out of the village, and the dragon Qilin took a glance at him before asking in a low voice, "Cult Master, what are you going to do?" "Fight," Qin Mu said ruthlessly. "Fight again," the dragon Qilin said with disinterest. "Don't come back with injuries everywhere this time." Qin Mu carried the pot to the riverside while a couple insects kept following him, hiding among the bushes and leaves. Qin Mu stopped and waited for a moment. He saw the number of insects growing around him as they lay down on the river's surface. It was like a layer of gold was covering it. The insects lured the huge fish of surging river over, and a couple of them leaped out from the water, wanting to eat the shining prey. However, when the huge fish leaped into the air and opened their huge mouths maliciously, the insects started chirping weirdly and became 3 yards long. They then pounced onto the bodies of the huge fish and started gnawing at them. Soon, only the bones were left, which fell back into the water. The corners of Qin Mu's eyelids twitched. The fish monsters of Surging River were very powerful, their strength comparable to that of martial arts practitioners of Spirit Embryo Realm and Five Elements Realm. However, in front of the venomous insects raised by the woman from Three Wonders Castle, they were unable to withstand a single blow. Heavenly Devil Cult Master. A voice came from downstream, and Qin Mu looked towards the source of it. He saw the woman from Three Wonders Castle stepping on the golden-colored insect swarm flying over from downstream of Surging River. She couldn't fly, but the insects could. They surrounded her in uncountable numbers, and there was also a golden-colored female insect that was much bigger in size than the other venomous insects. The woman was standing on the back of this female insect. Qin Mu smiled sweetly and asked, "How may I address Big Sister?" Qiu Yu was several hundred yards away from Qin Mu when she stopped her insect swarm to ask curiously, "Heavenly Devil Cult Master has such an important position and should be the one holding supremacy under the heavens. Why are you so polite to your enemies, calling me Big Sister?" Three Wonders Castle had three wonders, insects, poison, and beautiful women. This woman had a heart-wrenching beauty. One look at her would make people ignore the scalp-numbing venomous insects. Instead, their hearts would throb violently from being struck by her beauty. Qin Mu shook his head. "Once I'm in great ruins, I'm no longer the cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult and am now the child of my elders in the village. This Big Sister, if you are willing to let go of your grudges, I can invite you into the village for New Year's. The celebrations in our great ruins are actually pretty bustling with noise and excitement. Qiu Yu said, after killing you, I could return home for New Year's." Her complexion then darkened, and sorrow entered her eyes. "I've forgotten, my home no longer exists, it was destroyed by you and Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. My home is at Three Wonders Castle, my Grandmaster is True Lord Qian, my teacher is Qian Yufei. In the Battle of Daxiang City, Heavenly Devil Cult transported Eternal Peace Army into the city and killed countless senior brothers and sisters of mine. My teacher covered my escape only to die under the hands of Grand General who crowns the army." She seemed to be laughing and yet not laughing, crying and yet not crying. With a cold gaze, she said in a soft voice, "Heavenly Devil Cult Master, you were already the cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult then, weren't you? To be able to mobilize so many experts of Heavenly Devil Cult, there is none one else capable of this. You were the one who mobilized the experts of Heavenly Devil Cult to destroy the great cause of our volunteer army, to destroy our Three Wonders Castle." With an awe-inspiring gaze, she added, "I had gone back to Three Wonders Castle secretly, but it had already been destroyed. My family members were treated as rebels and executed in public. Heavenly Devil Cult Master, do you think I should kill you?" Qin Mu sighed. "You should. However, you shouldn't have rebelled in the first place. When you rebelled, you should have known that if the rebellion failed, this would be the only outcome for your family." Qiu Yu took a step forward and said sternly, "Righteousness must be upheld by the people even in the threat of being executed. Justice may be won only by using the lives of people. Otherwise, where would the righteousness be, where would the justice be? Even though I'm from the devil path, I'm willing to be this kind of person. Heavenly Devil Cult Master, no need to say any more. Please make your move, I'll send you on your way." Qin Mu felt a deep veneration and said resolutely, "People who walk different paths cannot work together, young lady, please." Qiu Yu shouted sternly, and her sleeves fluttered. Venomous insects swarmed towards Qin Mu from all directions, and they were too varied and numerous to count. Some would expand in the wind, the bigger ones would grow to 3-6 yards in size while the smaller ones would become as big as a wash basin. There were others that didn't expand but shrunk down instead. These kind of venomous insects were the most dangerous as the smaller they were, the harder it was to guard against them. They could tunnel into a human's body when they were not prepared and gnaw on their 5 viscera and 6 bowels. There were even some venomous insects that could swallow the soul and absorb the opponent's vital chi cultivation. Qin Mu opened up the pot, and his vital chi poured inside it. The couple scorpions jumped out and suddenly expanded, becoming over 60 yards long. The black shell on their bodies was covered with exceptionally beautiful and strange rune markings which lit up continuously. Terrifying aura swept through the air, and the insect swarm which was surging over suddenly dropped out of the sky like rain. Qiu Yu was astonished and immediately turned to escape. Suddenly, the tail of a huge scorpion swept out and extended endlessly like a chain, hooking the woman and killing her in one strike. Qin Mu sighed. He saw these scorpions fighting over Qiu Yu's corpse, which resulted in the waves churching in the river. When the waves overflowed into the sky, he activated the pot and the scorpions shrunk down. They returned inside and continued to fight there. Qiu Yu's corpse had already been torn to pieces by them and sunk into the river, where it got washed away by the current. Qin Mu carried the pot back into disabled elderly village, and the dragon Qilin sized him up at the village entrance. He saw that youth wasn't too happy, so he didn't say anything. Qin Mu placed the pot down and pulled Duqian Devil King over. He punched, kicked, and even summoned wind and lightning over to strike the god statue several times before letting him off. Duqian Devil King lay on the ground motionlessly, having lost dozens of parts. He felt extremely grieved and grumbled, "When have I provoked you?" After beating Duqian Devil King, Qin Mu felt much better. Suddenly, he heard someone shouting from outside, "Heavenly Devil Cult Master is here. Everyone, come quickly." Qin Mu's face darkened. He went to Granny Sai's room and took the mirror which she used to dress and groom herself. When he walked out of the village, he saw a couple divine arts practitioners rushing over. He raised this copper mirror, and his vital chi poured inside it. The light from the mirror shined on the divine arts practitioners, and their souls flew away, having been scattered. Their corpses then fell from the sky. The youth returned to the village and placed the mirror back onto Granny Sai's dressing table, thinking to himself, "Will there be an end to this? Won't they let me have a proper New Year's?" Qin Mu's injuries had healed, so he brought the presents he had prepared for the devil ape out of the village, walking towards the Valley of Doom Suppression Palace. Just as he left, he saw a strange beast which was dragging a corpse. When it saw him coming, that strange beast immediately hissed and the fur on its neck stood up. The river water babbled as a couple strange beasts jumped out from the water and rushed for the other corpses. These strange beasts with the head of a fish and the body of a human stopped immediately when they saw Qin Mu and fell on the ground, afraid to move forward. Qin Mu paid no attention to them. During his 2 days of recuperation, divine arts practitioners from Eternal Peace had found their way over one after another. However, before they could enter the village, they were all gotten rid of by items that were lying around the village. There were plenty of items there that were extremely terrifying. Other than the insects in the pots, there was also the rake that gathered up the grass, the curtain in the smithy, the water cauldron, the sword pellets under Granny Sai's bed, butcher's whetstone, the trough used to feed the hens, and also the wash basin that was taken by the dragon Qilin to use as the rice bowl. There were quite a lot of people who were chasing after Qin Mu's life as well. Other than Long Jiaonan and that batch of strong practitioners, there were experts from other sects. Many of them had found their way here during Qin Mu's 2 days of recuperation. It was not hard to find disabled elderly village, since if they followed the river, it was only 1,000 miles away from Border Dragon City, which was not far from Eternal Peace's border pass. That's why if they wanted to find him, they could easily do so. Qin Mu reckoned there were about 40 to 50 people who had found this place during the past 2 days. Of course, they were all dead people by now. Long Jianan haven't found her way here. Could she have gotten lost or was she killed on the way? Or? When Qin Mu was in the village, he always felt a gaze staring at him from outside the village. It was like a huge venomous snake was hidden in the dark corners, ready to pounce anytime. She's nearby? Walking out of the village this time was also to lure Long Jianan out. This woman had a deep hatred with him. The demise of Dragon Rider sect was single-handedly caused by Qin Mu. If it was not for him summoning Duqian Devil King in Heavenwave City, Dragon Rider sect wouldn't have perished so easily. Qin Mu came to Doom Suppression Palace and saw a lot of wild beasts there. However, the devil ape and the dragon elephant were not among them. He looked around and couldn't find any trace. The wild beasts in the valley sadly didn't know how to cultivate or speak, so he couldn't ask them where the devil ape had went. Qin Mu could only return back to disabled elderly village. 2 more days passed, and he finally couldn't sit still any longer. It was very close to New Year now, with only 2-3 days remaining, yet Granny Sai, village chief, and the rest had still not come back. The elders of the village are truly worrisome. He went to Doom Suppression Palace once more and still couldn't find the devil ape, which made him even more impatient. Fatty dragon, get up. Qin Mu packed up his stuff and fed the insects and hen dragons once more. He then wiped off the fixed word on Duqian Devil King's body and called the dragon Chalene. Let's find them in the depths of great ruins. Duqian Devil King stretched his body and sneered, if a half-god existence like Death couldn't come back after going into great ruins, what's the use of you going? Qin Mu shook his head. Even though my strength isn't high, I have a helper. Devil King, you are from the Heavenly Devil tribe, am I right? Duqian Devil King said proudly, so you want to borrow my strength? If you treat me nicely, it's not impossible for me to help you. However, you beat me up for no reason and made me upset. Please me, only then will I help you. Qin Mu asked curiously, how can I please Lord Devil King? Duqian Devil King became excited and was about to say what he normally said, but he felt that something was wrong. If he said it, the one kneeling down and licking the toes would be him. Qin Mu said resolutely, if you put in all your effort to help me find them, I'll release you. How's this condition? Duqian Devil King's eyes lighted up. You promise? I promise. Qin Mu finished packing up and walked out of disabled elderly village, making the dragon Chalene head upstream. Everyone had went to find the whereabouts of Carefree Village, and village chief had brought him upstream last time to the depths of great ruins, to the origin of Surging River where they had met numerous strange happenings. However, what they had found then wasn't Carefree Village but the moon ship of Fengju. Moon ship had guided the jade pendant on Qin Mu's neck, because of which the pendant had floated up, luring Qin Mu to that place. He felt that if village chief and the others wanted to find Carefree Village, they would definitely start their search there. They also might have left some trails behind. The dragon Chalene's speed wasn't slow, but compared to the speed of village chief, he was much slower. When village chief had brought Qin Mu, he was like a god giving off brilliant rays in the darkness, moving at an extremely fast speed. Qin Mu could only enter great ruins during the day. When night fell, he could only find other villages or ruins to avoid the darkness. Great ruins during the day and great ruins at night were two completely different worlds. Village chief had guessed that great ruins during the day was the real world, while at night, some dark world overlapped with it. If village chief and the rest had entered that world of the darkness and were brought away by it, Qin Mu would not be able to find them. He could only hope that village chief and the rest had found Carefree Village. Not long after he left disabled elderly village, a girl wearing a long dark green dress came to its outskirts. A red-colored earring that hung from her ear had stretched itself to look so, but it was actually a little red snake. Treasures are all around this village, I wonder if I can steal some of them, Long Jiaonan said in a low voice. Xiao Hong, call some helpers. The little red snake hanging from her ear hissed, and huge red-crowned snake slithered out from the forest. It slithered into the village, but just as it entered, a black spider sprawling on the spirit herb suddenly leaped up from the herb garden and landed on the huge snake's head to bite it. That huge snake instantly died, and its flesh and blood decomposed into mush which got sucked clean by that spider. Only the snake's skin was left. The spider became bigger and bigger. After sucking dry the huge snake, it spewed balls of true fire to burn itself out to return to its previous size and jumped back into the herb garden to hide. The corner of Long Jiaonan's eyes twitched and she immediately turned around to leave. The den of snakes behind her scattered off in all directions. This village, not even celestial beings could enter it. This video will end here.